So, Quatsino started exploring our energy opportunities within the territories, including energy efficiency. So, we started a community plan that was completed in 2018. This included a lot of community engagement, energy evaluations, renewable resource inventory with wind, tidal, solar, and hydro. It was guided by the extensive community engagement and existing community planning documents that we've had, which include lands plan use, our economic, and the CEP. Through that, we identified priorities and opportunities, including energy efficiency scale with small scale and utility scale renewable energy resources. Quatsino continues to invest in and pursue several opportunities identified in the plan, including home efficiency upgrades and opportunities. In 2020, Quatsino had installed heat pumps in 85 homes and community buildings on the reserve. This has helped reduce operation costs and improved overall service, including the addition of air conditioning. The installation process was carried out in phases. Uh, Due to COVID, we prioritized the elders' home during this time and subsequently completed the installations in our community homes, rentals, and buildings by 2023. The types of engagements that we have with the community that we found that was very successful is hosting community events at our community hall where we offer dinner and door prizes. It seems to bring everybody in. And even with that promotion of the community events, we also do the social media posts where we include the QR posts for surveys or conversations to be provided and completed. And then we do our traditional door-to-door surveying as well, where we get to go sit down with the household to address the surveys and thoroughly explain what the surveys are obtaining for the information for the projects. From from our installation with the heat pumps, our next step from the CEP was to do the deep energy retrofitting. Based off the guide of evaluations, this helped us identify additional savings through installation, ventilation, and windows and door upgrading. How we're going to prioritize for the upgrades will be determined by the surveys completed by the community members. Basically, most likely, as we have done in the past, we will be prioritizing the elders and family homes, the one with children. These surveys will be conducted either at the community engagement event or during a door-to-door visit. The scope of work that has helped us identify how we wanted to do the deep energy retrofitting is in our survey, we are going to be going through if there's molding issues that are happening within the house, how their ventilation has been holding up, how their installation is in the attic, the roof membrane, so we can see if there's patches that we need to upgrade and redo, and then the siding and exterior door installation with the windows and doors. The funding resources that we have approached over the years to help us do the upgrades and the heat pump installation was the New Relationships Trust BCICIE initiative. So, as everybody knows, NRT provides that as a source funding up to 300K. We have also recently stumbled across Shoreline Building Performance and are looking into partnering with them, going over some of the opportunities that they have with access to some of the funding for installation and again, windows and door upgrading. Then we have the internal funding with the housing department through the housing of the government. And that is my presentation. So Gayla Kasla, and thank you for listening.
Thanks so much, Cara. We really appreciate it. So if you do have questions, you're welcome to throw them in the Q&A box now so you don't forget them. And we will pass it on to Jess next. Please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jess. Hadi, hello from Nikazi, Bhutan. This First Nation lies in Fort St. James, which is about 2 hours northwest of Prince George, British Columbia. So we're in what most would call northern BC, but technically we're central BC, as if you look at it from the northern border of Yukon to the southern portion of the lower mainland. Most of what people believe to be northern BC is actually centrally located. When I came to work for the Nikasley band about 4 years ago, the purpose was to help improve capacity within the nation as far as having more than one or two contractors in town that would provide all the bidding and building on the First Nations lands. And the second part of that was also to provide employment for the people they sent to school for trades. And so I'll start off by, if I can see if I can find out how to share my screen.
There should be a green box somewhere at the
Sure.
bottom. Yeah.
Okay. So start off with the picture of the crew as it was about 2 years ago. It was Pink Shirt Day. But as you can tell, we've have a large number. We've grown from a crew of 4 to 20, including female apprentices. The first housing project that we were tasked to do through the band was to build a site, take one building site there and put 4 residential buildings on it with one common building in the background. And the idea was to make sure that these buildings were going to last for several years, several generations. And what we've been seeing is that the homes that have been built in the past have been barely lasting the 25 years that was originally intended, and barely met code. Before I got a crew together, I actually did a lot of inspecting their existing buildings, and some renovations they had started. And what became very apparent is within this nation, they didn't have any set building laws, which prevented them from being able to know what to expect when somebody comes and builds something on their land. So since then, we've made sure that every contract goes out, specifically states code requirements and other requirements they must follow to build on First Nations land. The only authority having jurisdiction on First Nations land for inspections would be Technical Safety BC, which governs gas and electrical. Otherwise, the carpentry or the whole building itself, unless other is specified in the contract to be inspected by the architects and engineers, was not being inspected. And then a lot of the housing has simply not last as long as it should have. So the idea with building these 4 little tiny homes, which I'll just flip through some of the pictures, was to make sure that these are going to be built beyond the regular building code. We fall into the range of a step 3. And what we did to accomplish that, I'll just flip to another picture. I'm not sure, I didn't prepare any slides or anything. This one would be the common house. This is one of the residences, another residence, another residence. And here's the big project in total. So here in northern BC, our temperature or climate goes from plus 40 in the summer to minus 40 in the winter. And of course, those extremes don't last, but even 2 weeks in -40 or 2 weeks in +40 can make you very uncomfortable in a home that is built to today's standards, just building code being the bare minimum standards. What step codes bring in is the fact that we know that the the basic building code isn't going to thermally protect us from the severe weather that's increasing, and if you look at it from 10 years into the future, it could be even more extreme. So what we did is we took the basic building code and then we added on to it ourselves through consultation with our architect. These homes here do have a 6-inch exterior wall with insulation, but on the exterior, we actually added a 3-inch layer of foil-backed rigid foam insulation, and then strapped the building and then installed the siding. All the windows were triple glazed, argon filled, so the different gases you fill between the panes will also help decide the energy efficiency of these windows. The other big problem on this reserve was that the gas lines were not punched through all the roads, and in this new development, there was no gas available. Gas in the north does seem to be the most efficient way to heat a home. So what we did is we compensated with solar panels on the roof that also have a battery backup. And these solar panels are tied to the grid, which allows the tenants to gain credits during the summer while we have a lot of sun here in Fort St. James, which helps provide a cost reduction in the winter months when they're heating the homes with electricity. That was the only way to install a main source of heat. For cooling, what we did was installed a heat pump system. Generally speaking, heat pumps in the north are still only used as air conditioners. We haven't quite got to the point where between the building envelope and the heat pump being ideal for every single situation. It's more ideal for new builds that will have newer envelopes or newer thermal resistance, but to retrofit a heat pump into an older home here isn't very efficient. So what we did is these tiny homes here during the summer months when we were building at +30, just with the insulation on the exterior of the home while we were working inside this home with the doors and windows closed, it lowered the temperature by at least 15 degrees just from the outside, just because of the exterior insulation with the foil back. And in the winter months, as long as the door was closed, we only had one heater on in each one until we're completely done construction. And the enclosures, the buildings themselves were adequately heated by one 15-watt heater. Now that's not to live in, but that's to keep the freeze off until we were complete and we had tenants in the building. And so the whole idea for this, or the concept for this, actually came from the members in the Nikaslii-Watan. When I first came here to teach, a lot of those, a few of those students actually became my first employees. And together with our past knowledge in construction, we had employed a carpenter, a plumber, and an electrical apprentice. And with everybody's past experience here within the nation, their experience here living here in the nation, and with my experience coming from Vancouver and the types of building and the types of inspections that are required to make sure that a customer gets what they're paying for. We put our heads together and came up with this plan to build it above and beyond code. And right now they're fully occupied and are doing extremely well. We've had no complaints about these dwellings, and the nation has been quite pleased with it. And now, right across the street from there, our company, Nikaslii Construction, fully owned by Nikaslii-Watan, is in partnership with Keller Construction, building 32 new units through a BC Housing on reserve, above code as well. So since I've been here, it's been nice to know that my past experience and knowledge has become useful and valuable in the sense that they have become, they're now educating themselves more on what to expect, or what they need to inspect before they pay a bill and say a job is done, or that there is more above the beyond the base limits, which is what we call building code. Building code is the bare minimum. If we're going to build for the future, we definitely need to look into building step codes. That's the end of my presentation.
Thanks so much, Jess. We really appreciate that perspective as well. And I will pass it next to Kevin. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Brown. I'm a climate action coordinator for Old Massett here on Haida Gwaii. I've been in this position since 2019, sort of at the beginning of COVID. So it gave me an opportunity to look online to see kind of where we fit with the rest of the world and the country, the province, that sort of thing. So we've looked at a lot of different things around energy efficiency. The driving force with that is the fact that we are a remote community and we have 6 communities of just under 4,000 people. But collectively, we burn 10 million liters a year of diesel to provide electricity. So that's our biggest dirty little secret, I guess, for Haida Gwaii. And we are doing things on a higher level, like we've just installed a 2 megawatt solar farm at our northern airport, and that would take care of about 9% of our consumption. And we plan to go down to our southern airport, and the province has kicked in 8.5 million to set up another 2 megawatt solar farm down there. And then we'll come back up to Massett Airport and put in another 2 megawatts, and that would get rid of maybe about 27% of our consumption of diesel. And that would be followed by looking at wind and tidal to round out alternative green energy sources. Now we're also looking at hydrogen down the road as well. And then and one of the things that has come of these projects was Old Massett, my band, Skidegate Band Council, and our senior government, the Council of Haida Nation, have created our own energy utility company, which is, I think, really awesome, as historically we've all been fighting for the same pots of money. And now that we have a partnership, it's much more attractive to funders. So we're looking forward to taking advantage of that and continuing to reduce our dependency on diesel. And other things to reduce our consumption of diesel. We had studies done years ago, and demand side management is the best solution of reducing your draw on diesel. So that goes through home efficiencies, alternative heat sources as opposed to electrical heat. And so we started a heat pump program in 2019, 2020, and we installed 230 heat pumps in our homes, which is awesome. But I think sort of one of the, in hindsight, one of the things that we overlooked was, and it was actually a funder requirement, to remove the wood stoves and the baseboard heaters. So if a power outage goes out and the wood stoves, then we have no form of heat. So that's a bit disconcerting going forward. So we do need to find a solution for that, whether it's pellet stoves or something, or maybe some more efficient wood burning heat from wood stoves, just to ensure that people have heat in their homes. Because the power outage is usually around inclement weather, whether it be snow or wind. And part of the home retrofits are the projects that we have done to our homes to address the wind, as asphalt tiles don't work in our on Haida because of the high winds. So we've converted the majority of homes to metal roofs, and that seems to be quite effective and working well. And the heat pumps as well. I don't pay my home bills, but I ask, and there didn't seem to be a bump in the consumption of energy as we've installed the heat pumps. And then we've also installed 4 rooftop solar panels with EV chargers on 3 homes in our elementary school with the charging stations and battery packs. And the homeowners seem quite happy with that, as the charging time is quicker, and they will benefit as well from feeding to the grid as if they have surplus energy as well. And that too is a pilot project that we look at incorporating more installations, as I've seen a few more electric vehicles in our community just in the last couple of days. And I'd certainly love a truck for work that's an EV for sure. And we've been trying to work on a community electricity plan with Tluyata Energy Company, our utility company, but it's taken a couple of years. So I would kind of like to step up that, and so that we can carry on with all of our works. Another project we're working on is district heating systems. We have an existing one that district heating is wood burning and at a high efficiency, heating hot water through gasification and providing heat and hot water to our 4 major buildings, commercial buildings, the band office / gym, the health center, the school, as well as the Haida Child and Family Services. Collectively saving about $100,000 a year in fossil fuels, as well as reducing the consumption of fossil fuels. It's definitely a work in progress. We're currently getting the efficiency of the district heating system up, and training programs, as well as we are installing a second one into our northern hospital, who is currently utilizing diesel-driven heat and hot water, and they want to get away from that as well. And then we have a number of buildings in Old Massett that do have solar panels, and the community, our neighboring community of New Massett, on the schools and the youth centers and that sort of thing. And so we've been trying to ensure that there's local employment on these projects, and in the long term, we're also looking at capacity building, as they would require engineers and people to overlook these systems as they are in place. Happy to say, recently we have a young fellow that wants to be an electrical engineer and then starting in UBC in the fall. I've matched him up with an engineering company in Vancouver. So he's currently working there now, and that employer said he can work the full 4 months or 3 months and go home for a month. So I'm so excited about that. And then there's another young fellow that's following the same path and doing the precursor work to get into engineering as well. So our aim is to build capacity and make sure that they have jobs to come home to. Because historically, anybody that goes to post-secondary, if there's no work here, they're gone. So we're definitely turning the tide in all different capacities across the board to ensure that we can keep them and get our community from just surviving to thriving as we more and more take ownership of our own destiny. As Haida Gwaii has recently been recognized provincially and federally as belonging to the Haida, so that definitely makes a difference in our future and our fate as it becomes in our own hands. As historically, as I understand, most First Nations, most of the decisions aren't made by First Nations. So I'm glad to see that transition. And then around home retrofits, we have taken training One sec, sorry. And energy efficiency mentorship program hosted by the Fraser Basin Council, BCIT, and Richard Hall was there as well, who is also going to be our community mentor. He has visited Haida in June, and we looked at provincial federal codes, and also want to develop a higher code as well, and build a couple of his homes that Richard Hall has designed, homes for the West Coast, which is very exciting because it's at a lower price than other existing cost, which is like $350 to $450 a square foot. His would be more of $150 to $200, I think, after COVID, and utilizing local resources with the emphasis on home efficiencies. So that so get a higher rating, and I'm really looking forward to that. He did, like I said, he came here and spoke to a bunch of our red seals. We currently have 10 in Old Massett, and about 4 or 5 just passed their 4th year. Yes, their 4th year, and we have 20 more in the queue for the 1st year in the next fall. So we are looking for. There is one electrician that is getting his red seal as well, but we definitely like to get more in terms of plumbers, as well, as there's always a high demand for these trades, and you can take that skill anywhere, right? So I'm definitely looking forward to that. It seemed like a lot, but we are quite busy, and I'm sorry I don't have any slides, just because of the number of projects that I am undertaking since 2019. I thank you all for your time and inviting me to do a presentation. Hawa.